Thank you, Devin. Well, the family and friends of two missing men are coping with the news their loved ones are victims in a homicide investigation. On Friday, KSL was told about the mysterious disappearance of friends in San Juan County.
Yeah, now officials said there's no proof that either of the men are alive right now. News specialist Shelby Lofton with those details.
Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst.
Friends and family of Christopher Owens, whose nickname is Topher, and William Bull, who goes by Drew, say they want the truth of what happened to their loved ones.
Whatever has happened just needs to be confessed.
Jeff LeBlanc, who was close with Owens, said they were in Blanding to work on a car project. The San Juan County Sheriff's Office said they were living with 35-year-old Charles Yu. Family and friends became concerned when the men stopped responding to all forms of contact on February 26th.
For him just to go dark like that, I mean, it wasn't normal.
Then on the 27th, one final text message sent from Bull's phone to his wife. LeBlanc provided the text, which reads, "It's always something with everyone. I can't deal with this," and goes on to say, "Tell Toph I'm sorry if he's alive. You're all on your own." The men haven't been heard from since. When investigators took up the case, they went to the home and spoke to Yu. He told them both men had left the house in a black Dodge the day before that text was sent. They said Yu wouldn't give them any other information about the car, even though he's a mechanic. An emergency ping showed the text was sent from Yu's property. Then the cell phone was turned back off. Officials said Yu failed to give officers correct information during interviews. He's now been charged with obstruction of justice.
With what they've got him in custody on obstruction of justice, so what do they got? What's the story on that?
LeBlanc says he's not surprised officials say there's no proof his friend is alive.
I've been kind of preparing myself. I've had my suspicions.
He wants to know why someone would harm him and Bull.
It's unreal. Toph was the type of guy that would give you the last cigarette out of his cigarette pack.
He's holding out hope, saying he and friends are considering a search for Bull and Owens on their own.
I'm very angry with this whole situation. If it is true that he isn't alive, he really didn't deserve it.
Shelby Lofton, KSL-5 News.
Shelby, thank you. Anyone with information on this case or has seen anything suspicious should call the San Juan Sheriff's Office.
We are getting more information on a high-speed. Plus, one man has to change over 150 clocks for daylight saving time. We got to talk about that coming up.
At 10.
Well, waking up yesterday, we all kind of dreaded having to switch the clocks an hour later than normal, springing ahead into the future, thanks, of course, to daylight saving time beginning.
Yeah, a little tough for a lot of us. KSL photojournalist Greg Anderson owns over 150 clocks and changes all of them for the time change.
I think the reason I'm a clock collector is that it's just always been interesting to me. I remember my grandmother had this clock that used to play a little chime melody every 15 minutes, and I just thought that was the neatest thing. I remember in the 1970s, people came up with a lot of really creative ways to show the time. So there are a lot of unique clocks from that era that you just don't see anymore. I'm way beyond having a clock in every room. I'm more like having a clock on every wall, every shelf, every cabinet top. You know, there's clocks all over the place.
Time is now 8 o'clock p.m.
Every now and then the kids decide they want to go around and count all the clocks in the house, you know. And then they start to wonder, well, should I count the clock in the digital camera or should I count the clock on the microwave? And I think, well, if I have to set it, then yes, I will count that one. I know it's more than 150, not much more than that, but I don't have as many watches. Right now it's 108, approximately. I think I'm like everybody else when it comes to daylight saving time. It's hard to adjust your sleep, you know, but as far as changing the time on all my dozens of clocks, I don't mind that at all. That's actually fun. Well, the truth is most of my clocks and watches are actually radio controlled, so they will pick up the atomic clock broadcast out of Colorado, which works really well around here, and then they set themselves to the right time, and they will actually make the change for daylight saving time all by themselves too. So when I watch the news on Saturday night and the folks on the news say, well, be sure to change your clock before you go to bed, and I think, no, I don't do that anymore. That's the clock's job now. The whole idea of timekeeping, really, if you think about it, is about trying to figure out where the sun is in relation to your position on the surface of the earth. So you want to know what time the sun comes up, you want to know what time is sundown, you want to be able to coordinate things when you're going to do things during the day. If you were to ask 10 people in the office 25 years ago, what time is it? They'd probably be within 5 minutes of each other. Whereas today, if you ask the same 10 people, they would probably be within about 5 seconds of each other. That's how much better it's gotten. I think as long as they keep making clocks and watches in different colors and shapes and styles, I'll stay busy for a while. There's always another Christmas and birthday coming up.
I can attest, folks. Greg knows his clocks. All right, he's like Dr. Emmett Brown, the beginning of Back to the Future with all the clocks. Yeah, he had nothing on Greg. Thanks for that story. That's fantastic. The FDA has decided to post...
Get left because of that crash, Lori. All right, Amy, thank you. We're learning new details about the mysterious disappearance of two friends in San Juan County. It's a story we first told you about on Friday.
Yesterday, the San Juan County Sheriff's Office said they arrested a man in connection with Christopher Topher Owens and William Drew Bowles' disappearances.
And this morning, family and friends coping with word their loved ones are believed to be the victims in a homicide investigation. News specialist Kara Bracken joins us live with more. Kara.
Good morning to you both. Well, officials say there is no sign that either of the men are alive. Now, we are hearing from friends and family of those two men, and they say that they're hoping for the best, but they are preparing for the worst in the case of this investigation. Now, I want to tell you, going back to last month, family and friends, they got concerned when the men stopped responding to all forms of contact on February 26th. A friend of Topher says they were in Blanding to work on a car project. San Juan County Sheriff's Office saying they were living with 35-year-old Charles Yu. A concerning text message sent from Bill's phone to his later. When investigators took up the case, they went to the home and spoke to Yu. Officials say he then failed to give officers correct information during those interviews. He's now been charged with obstruction of justice.
Whatever has happened just needs to be confessed.
Now, the San Juan County Sheriff says the investigation is ongoing, and Mr. Yu will continue to be held without bail on obstruction of justice charges. Anyone with information on this case, they are asked to contact the Sheriff's Office down there in San Juan County. Guys.
All right, Kara Bracken, live for us this morning. Kara, thank you for that update.
Well, 3 people are dead following a crash Friday night on Mount Oppenheimer. Well, if you're feeling tired this morning, of course you're not alone. Casey Scott talks all things clocks while we try to recover from that lost hour of sleep.
Plus, we've got tips on how to shop for a game.
And you're supposed to fall back but spring forward. What do you do when you have to set all your clocks? We're hanging out at Mount Olympus Clocks.
Put the huge one, though, man. That is
a good question.
Huge flag. It looks awesome, though. Everybody across the nation probably feeling a bit sluggish this morning, a little tired. Over the weekend, of course, you had to spring forward, which means you lose an hour of sleep.
Yeah, it happened.
Oh,
we all had to adjust our clocks. KSL photojournalist Greg Anderson has a lot of clocks to change. Take a look.
I think I'm like everybody else when it comes to daylight saving time. It's hard to adjust your sleep, you know, but as far as changing the time on all my dozens of clocks, I don't mind that at all. That's actually fun.
Greg is a collector, and I don't think he'd mind us saying that he's pretty obsessed with time. A couple of years ago, he talked about his collection that includes over 150 clocks and 100 watches. They're all different colors, shapes, styles. Yeah, lots of them.
He says most of his clocks and watches are actually radio controlled, so they set themselves to the right time once daylight saving time comes around each and every year.
He also said there are still birthdays, you know, Father's Day, Christmas, that kind of thing. So he's going to still collect them, watches and clocks. He loves them.
The collection.
Well,
that ticking, though, was stressing me out.
Oh, it just reminds me of Geppetto, you know, like in Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Well, Casey Scott, he's wound up today and ready to go off.
He's at Mount Olympus Clock Shop in Salt Lake City. Hi, Casey.
Hey, good morning to you guys. And my question is, has Greg ever been here? Because this is clock and watch mecca. If you look around here, they've got all these clocks, all these watches, all kinds of cool stuff. Right there, John's showing you all the cuckoo clocks that they have here. Now, the mechanical ones aren't going off right now because what they have is these large pine cones, and they will go throughout the week, and eventually they will go all the way down to the bottom. But each cuckoo clock has something a little bit different. I'm going to find out when they went from cuckoo clock to more of the traditional clocks, but they've also got grandfather clocks, wall clocks, everything you'd want and more. Plus, they've got this great array of nutcrackers right behind them. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out what goes into it. Today's the big day for these guys. I'm going to introduce you to Emma and Aaron, and today's the day that they're going to set all these clocks forward an hour because that's what they do. They do it twice a year. So we've got Emma and Aaron here, and you guys have been working here for how long now?
I've been working here since I was probably 8 years old, so that's about more than 30 years now. But I'm the 4th generation, and Emma here is the 5th generation.
And so what do you guys like about working with clocks?
I mean, I don't actually work on clocks. I'm the wrong person to ask that question.
I mean, it's kind of our family heritage. Our my grandparents and great-grandparents moved over from Germany in the 50s, and so they started this clock shop, and so it's kind of like we're here trying to keep it open and keep the craft going and kind of make them proud, but also, kind of ties into our family heritage. So
let me ask you this. Now that we live in a digital age, are people still buying clocks like this?
Yeah, I think there's been a real resurgence in the last 5 to 10 years where people have kind of wanted to reconnect with some of the physical world because the digital world can get to be so convoluted and uninteresting at sometimes that they really want something tangible and something mechanical that they can actually feel and connect with. So
now behind us you can hear the chimes going off. Does that happen every hour here at Mount Olympus Clock?
Yeah, it gets a little crazy here on the hours. So I mean, a lot of people will make it an appointment where if we go to the clock shop, we want to make sure we're there right at the turn of the hour. So
I love that. And we want to talk to Emma real quick because you said you've got one bit of advice for people out there when they're setting their clocks forward or back. If they're battery operated, they're not supposed to do what?
So you don't want to move the hands from the front of the clock. So I can do a demonstration if you need to.
We're going to do that coming up next. So get your clocks down, sit in front of the TV. Let's waste some time this morning and learn more about clocks.
I think it's using the time wisely, I think.
Mm-hmm. That store is worth just a drop in. It's just fascinating to look around there.
I feel like I wouldn't be able to spend too long in there though, just because the constant or chimes.
We're kind of pushed along by the time. Yeah, we're on the clock all morning. Yeah. Tick, tick, tick.
Mm-hmm. I know. Well, let's get to your forecast then, right? Let's not waste time.
And we're live at Mount Olympus Clock Shops where they've got a bunch of damn clocks. What? Cuckoo clocks. Cuckoo clocks. That's what I said.
Snap a selfie and let us see it. Casey Scott, he's talking all things clocks today.
Yeah, he's at Mount Olympus Clock Shop in Salt Lake City. Hi, Casey.
That's right. Where today's a big day for them because they're springing forward on all of the clocks here. I'm here with Emma. Emma, how many clocks do you think you have in total here at the store?
Like that we have on the floor, probably about 200.
So how long do you think it's going to take you to set everything forward?
We'll be lucky if we get it done today. Depends on how busy we are. So.
But you were telling me something off air that if you could tell some people at home that if they've got a battery-powered clock, please do not change the time by just moving the hands.
Yeah, so that's going to be the quickest way you can wear out a movement is by moving these hands in the front. And so what you want to do is you'll want to actually take it off the wall and turn to the back because they'll all have this little like kind of circle, or sometimes it's like longer, but some sort of
dial.
Yeah, dial. That's a way to put it. So, and then you're going to want to change it from there. So it's kind of, you do of course want to watch what you're doing so you know that you're getting it to the right time. But yeah, so you want to do it from the back so that you don't wear out the movement quicker than it needs to.
All right, and they can handle that here for you because they're also a repair shop. We're going to come on over here to my man Aaron, and Aaron, he's kind of the watch guy here, right?
Yep, I'm the watch nerd.
Well, there's a family business here, and you've got a brother that goes out there and just does all the grandfather clocks, and everybody kind of sticks in their lane. But you were telling me you spent 2 years in Pennsylvania. Why?
For watchmaking school.
And you are now able to work on Rollies, which is Rolexes. And so, Dan, I don't know where you get your Rolex worked on, but you can do it here. And there's only 2 really licensed places in the state to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a couple of places you can bring in your Rolex to and have it worked on by somebody who has access to parts and knows all the proper procedures and everything. So
now, Aaron, I was checking you out. Raise your right arm, digital watch. Left arm,
mechanical watch. So I like to embrace both worlds. Both the new world, a lot of watch traditionalists will snub on the smart watches and the digital stuff, but I think it's great. I like to do both. So.
And so if somebody's cleaning out their grandfather's home or they come across it in a yard sale, they come on a Rolex that's not working or any kind of watch, they can bring it here and you can get it back up and running.
Oh, yeah. We can restore it back to like new condition for sure.
All right. And around here, they've got some great watches here. And they said under $500, which is a good price point to get into watches.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have a lot of entry level watches, anything from $60 to $80 up to $500 and anything that, is considered entry level in our world, I guess. But
so I guess we learned one thing this morning. Dan, you found a new place to get your Rolex worked on. We're hanging out at Mount Olympus Clocks and Watches. Coming back, we're going to go to the Cuckoo Clocks, and we're going to talk about grandfathers. We're springing forward because that's what you do during daylight savings.
My Rolex. That's good, Casey, for sure.
A couple of them.
Yes. All right. Yeah, we're all kind of guided by the clock.
What did he say? Because I was dozing off. Oh my God.
Because of daylight saving.
No offense, Casey.
Well, I only have one clock on my wrist or my watch, but I need a second one. But I know it's time for weather, right?
That's it. Wow. All right, Casey Scott just passing some time this morning. He's surrounded by clocks at Mount Olympus Clock Shop.
And some 6th graders taking
waterfall.
And they say it broke clocks even right twice a day, but we're fixing all your clocks. We're live at Mount Olympus Clocks.
That's right. We're going to try to make sure the clocks are not broken. I'm going to see here. It's just about 6:30 right now. Okay, now we know. You can set your watches to it. This is KSL Today. I'm Dan Spindle.
I'm Lori Pritchard. Happy Monday, everyone. We've got the team here this morning. Let's start things off with Devin Mashuli, who's in for Matt Johnson.
Good morning, guys. It was a beautiful weekend. We had
thing right.
And we're springing forward. We're hanging out at Mount Olympus Clocks. It's all about the grandfather clocks. But our first question, why isn't there grandmother clocks?
as a result as well.
Well, everyone across the nation feeling a little bit sluggish. This is probably the least favorite Monday of the year,
yeah,
I would say. Yeah, we lost an hour of sleep. We had to spring forward.
I can feel it, too. We all had to adjust our clocks. Well, not all of us, because people in Arizona don't do that, right?
That's like the only state that doesn't do it.
KSL photojournalist
Punks.
Greg Anderson has a lot of clocks to change. Take a look.
I think I'm like everybody else when it comes to daylight saving time. It's hard to adjust your sleep, you know, but as far as changing the time on all my dozens of clocks, I don't mind that at all. That's actually fun.
Greg is a clock collector. A couple of years ago, he talked about his collection that includes over 150 clocks and 100 watches. They're all different colors, shapes, styles. I mean, to say he's obsessed in a good way.
And yeah.
I mean, he knows everything there is to know.
He says most of his clocks and watches are actually radio controlled, so they set themselves to the right time once daylight saving time comes around. You know, you got daylight saving and then standard time.
Yeah, we're on daylight saving time now.
Yeah, we are.
Until November, is it now?
Yes.
Oh, boy, it can't come soon enough. Well, no, we're not going to skip ahead. Casey Scott talking all things clocks today, taking it 1 minute at a time.
Yeah, he's at Mount Olympus Clock Shop in Salt Lake City.
And me and Aaron are going to do everything we can to make sure that Lori does not doze off during this segment because we're talking clocks. Not only clocks, we're talking grandfather clocks. And I've got Aaron here. And when people are going to reset or spring forward on their grandfather clocks, what is the best way to do so?
Well, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you stop every quarter hour and let it chime through before you move on to the next quarter hour. So if you have a chiming clock, you move it to the quarter, wait for it to finish chiming, and then move on to the next quarter. That way the chimes will not get out of sync, and it'll be chiming the right hour when it comes time to do so.
Now, this is a family business, and you guys have been doing this for 50-plus years. But you guys also have a service where you'll go in homes and take care of their grandfather clocks for them.
Yeah, if you do notice that something is awry with your grandfather clock when you go to reset it or at any time, my brother can actually come out to your home and he can help maintain it and do all the repairs on it if necessary.
So if you're sitting at home and you're watching KSL today, and you realize, hey, our grandfather clock has not moved in 20-plus years, call these guys. They can come out here and get it up and running. As you can see, they've got clocks and watches all around their building here, and it's going to take them all day, if not into tomorrow, to get everything moved forward as we spring forward with daylight savings. We want to come around here, John, because we've got Emma back here, and she's got some grandfather clocks back here. But before we get to the grandfather clocks, I've got to ask you the all-important question. Why isn't there grandmother clocks?
So there actually are grandmother clocks. They're just smaller than grandfather clocks. A lot of times people have a hard time kind of differentiating which one's actually which. But yeah, generally the grandfather clocks are like 6 feet. Grandmother clocks are usually like 4 or 5 feet.
Which one's usually right?
I don't know. Doesn't really matter. They both tell the time.
Which one do you listen to more?
Generally.
In my experience, it's grandmother. Let's talk about these right here, because these are some battery-powered grandfather clocks.
Yeah, so there aren't a ton of battery-powered ones because the mechanical ones are definitely more popular, but we do have this one and this one are both battery. So that's just kind of a fun way to have that big piece of furniture without having to kind of deal with the upkeep. You don't really have to service those. It's just change the batteries.
I love that. And if you're looking at starting some heirlooms in your family, why not start with a grandfather clock and come down here to Mount Olympus Clocks, where they celebrate all things mechanical. They've even got a great selection of nutcrackers here. As you can see, you've got a ton of them. And then back there on the wall, probably the best collection of cuckoo clocks in the state.
Oh, yeah, you're never going to find a better selection of cuckoo clocks.
So come down here to Mount Olympus Clocks and get on time. We're going to send it back to you guys. Spring forward, fall behind.
Such amazing craftsmanship.
Yeah. We're all in awe.
I was snoozing.
Well, we learned.
I just have a soothing voice, Casey.
If you were asleep, you didn't learn that there's a grandmother clock.
I did learn. I could hear too. I was listening with my eyes closed.
That's it.
Well, moving on to weather, we have
Restrictions, but first,
you're supposed to spring forward and fall back. Today we're hanging out at Mount Olympus Clocks talking about what goes into making these clocks all the right time.
welcome back in. Everybody across the nation feeling a little bit sluggish today. It's the least favorite Monday, maybe the Monday after the Super Bowl, that kind of day. Today, it's up there.
Didn't feel it yesterday, but today, I'm a little behind, that's for sure.
We had to spring forward. We lost an hour of sleep after all.
That's right. We had to adjust our clocks, and KSL photojournalist Greg Anderson has a lot of clocks to change. Take a look.
I think I'm like everybody else when it comes to daylight saving time. It's hard to adjust your sleep, you know, but as far as changing the time on all my dozens of clocks, I don't mind that at all. That's actually fun. I was kind of...
Well, Greg is a clock collector, and a couple of years ago, he talked about his collection that includes over 150 clocks and 100 watches. They are all different colors, shapes, styles, sizes, and man, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, he says most of his clocks and watches are actually radio controlled, so not a lot of heavy lifting there. They set themselves right according to daylight saving time when it comes around and when it stops, and they automatically adjust. But some cool parts of his collection
really cool clocks in there. So I got my car done this morning, but I have about 10 clocks at home I need to do.
I did the microwave and the, yeah.
As I come across them, I'll do it.
Casey Scott is talking all things clocks today, too.
He's at the Mount Olympus Clock Shop in Salt Lake City.
For 60 years, Mount Olympus Clocks and Watches have been keeping you on time, and with daylight savings upon us, they've got the job today of moving all these hours 1 hour forward, and we're here with Emma here, and she's going to tell us a little trick when resetting your clocks. Now, most people will just grab the dials and spin, and you're telling me that's a big no-no.
Yeah, so some clocks you do want to move the hands, like mechanical clocks. That's the only way to really do it. But on the battery clocks, you don't want to move the hands from the front because it can actually wear out the movement. It's kind of the quickest way to ruin your clock.
And then you're going to have to come see me here at Mount Olympus Clocks because you've ruined the movement. So what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, so you want to go to the back. On the back of all battery clocks, there's going to be this little dial. It's either going to be flat like this or it'll be something you can, like, turn. with 2 fingers. And so you're actually going to want to change the time from that. So you do, of course, want to watch what time you're changing it to. So kind of takes both. So what time even is it?
I love it. There you go. So she's going to work on that. We're going to come over and talk to Aaron here. And real quick, Aaron, not only do you do watches, clocks, and grandfather clocks, you service stuff here as well.
Yeah, I mean, we specialize in the service. That's really kind of what keeps us busy year-round is doing all the repairs and restorations on watches and clocks.
Well, now, you spent 2 years in Pennsylvania working with Rolex, so you can work on Rolex watches.
Oh, yeah. We're fully qualified and have access to all the parts and training materials to do them properly.
Now, I noticed on your wrist you've got a digital and a mechanical. Why?
Because I like to embrace both worlds. I'm kind of a watch nerd, so not only do I like the traditional mechanical watch, but I also like the smartwatch and all the features that has.
So what services do you provide here at Mount Olympus Clocks?
We do everything from just simple batteries and band adjustments on your watch, but we also do full restorations on Grandpa's old pocket watch or any other, mechanical watch out there.
And then you can also go into homes to get people's grandfather clocks up and running. You've got a great selection of cuckoo clocks. This is the place where you want to be on time. Come down here and check out Mount Olympus Clocks.
I wonder if they all go off at the same time.
Hearing it, yeah.
It was kind of peaceful.
It sounds like Geppetto's until it all goes off.
And then you're like, ah!
Bottom of the hour, top of the hour, little chimes.
This is why I do not have a cuckoo clock.
Me either. All right, Deb, let's talk about what our week has.
KSL News at 4 starts now.
Well, 22. It's a number that will be remembered by the University of Utah for decades to come. It belonged to football player Aaron Lowe, who was murdered after a house party in Sugar House 3 years ago.
It's a story that's led to a ripple effect across the university and, of course, parts of our state. Lowe had dedicated the 2021 football season to a teammate who had died a year before and changed his number to 22. The entire Utah football team attended Lowe's funeral in Texas, and the program retired the number 22 later that season.
And just last year, the program renamed its annual spring game to the 22 Forever game in honor of Lowe and his teammate. Ute fans also take part in a moment of loudness at each game.
And today, 3 years after the death of Aaron Lowe, the gunman accused of killing him has pleaded guilty.
News specialist Garna Mejia joins us live from the Scott Matheson Courthouse in Garna. Today, it's an emotional day for Aaron's family.
Yeah, Debbie, Ashley, it sure is. I spoke with Aaron's mother and his brother, and they tell me that they know that nothing can bring Aaron back. They've also found forgiveness for his killer through their faith, but they say that they hope the parole board will keep Book behind bars.
Aaron was a light in our family.
The man charged with killing University of Utah player Aaron Lowe in September of 2021 is taking a guilty plea.
We felt as though we had to take what was given, because we do understand with a jury, with all of those things, it could have gone any kind of way.
For Aaron's family, there is still a long road ahead.
The most important thing was that there was some type of responsibility taken.
Aaron's brother, Christopher Jackson, says there'll be a Book sentencing next month.
And I think that it's important that we hear from him, Is he sorry?
According to District Attorney Sim Gill, Book faces 15 years to life for Aaron's murder and 3 years to life for the attempted murder of Aaron's girlfriend, Fuamoli Pamali.
This will probably be about 25 to 30 years before the possibility of even a parole date to come.
While Aaron's family advocated against the death penalty for Book.
If we truly forgive him, then, who are we to take a life?
They hope the parole board, who ultimately decides a 25-year-old's fate in prison, will keep him behind bars.
I don't think that he needs to be out to perpetrate his violence on anyone else. For us, it's most important that he lives with his decision every day.
And Aaron's family also expressed their gratitude for all of the community support, both the University of Utah campus and the work of law enforcement, prosecutors, detectives. A sentencing hearing is scheduled for April 29th. I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, I can't imagine what Aaron's family has been through up until this point, so hopefully they feel some closure with today's ruling. Thank you, Garna.
Well, right now, Salt Lake City police are asking live with that story.
The man charged with the murder of University of Utah football player Aaron Lowe agrees to a plea deal. We'll bring you the details from the Matheson courthouse and tell you what Lowe's family members are saying.
A visit next month from some key Olympic officials. Today we got a preview of that visit. I'll share with you what's planned straight ahead.
KSL Live at 5 starts now.
I want him to realize the awesome person that he took from this world.
Tonight, we are hearing from loved ones of a slain University of Utah football player, Aaron Lowe, after prosecutors struck a deal with his killer. Lowe was shot and killed in 2021 at a house party.
News specialist Garna Mejia is live at the Matheson courthouse where Book pled guilty to Lowe's murder and the attempted murder of his girlfriend. Garna, was Aaron's family there today?
Yeah, Aaron's family stayed in Texas for today's proceedings, but they tell me they'll be flying out here for Book sentencing next month. Now, they've told me that even though they forgave Book and asked prosecutors not to pursue the death penalty, they still want to see him spend the rest of his life in prison. The plea deal does include caution for consecutive sentences with a minimum of 18 years. Now, Book is facing 15 years to life for shooting and killing Lowe and 3 years to life for the attempted murder of Lowe's girlfriend, Fuamoli Pamali. Christopher Jackson, Lowe's oldest brother, says they'll be here for the sentencing because they want to face Book and they want to know if he's sorry for what he did.
Do we feel as though that the 15 to life sentence or whatever adequately addresses it? No. But given any other alternatives, you know, it is my hope. And I think that any situation like this is that young man, every day when he's reflecting about his jail sentence, he remembers the life that he took.
In September of 2021, Lowe was at a party in Salt Lake City with his girlfriend when an argument broke out. At some point, prosecutors say Book shot Lowe and Pamali. He continued to fire at them even after they were on the ground. Lowe died at the scene, but Pamali survived. Book was arrested a week later. His sentencing is scheduled for April 29th. Now, this is an incident that really shook the community here in Salt Lake City, the University of Utah campus, and it's something that Lowe's family tells me they've been really grateful for the outpouring of community support, both from the University of Utah and detectives and prosecutors. Now, they also said that they will continue advocating for victims of violence. Lowe's mother tells me that she has reached out to the governor to have help in cases such as these for victims of violence. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Garna, thank you. Well, the West Jordan man is fighting for his life.